I'm going to show you a different way to color the fabric today. So I want to show you a piece I did yesterday, a small piece that I did, and I painted one side with a thickened gel, and this was Wilton's black decorating gel for cookies and cakes. So it is food coloring base, which is an acid dye. And then on the other side I used the yellow. So the black had some color separation. So instead of a black against a yellow, here you see a purple and a blue. The blue wicked out a little bit, which I think is really interesting. So how to get three colors when you're just using two tubes. So I'm going to show you how I do that with this piece here. I use a fairly stiff brush, and I've mixed up some yellow gel here, and I'm just going to paint it on. And I'm pushing a little bit hard, squishing it in really well. And when I finish with this, when I finish with both sides of this, I will let it dry before I rinse it. And the reason is that the gel is still a little bit it's a little bit gooey, so that it will spread a little bit more than I want it to spread if I try to rinse it while it's still wet. So you can see I'm going with the grain because the ridges are in this direction that I'm painting. And the brush helps get it down a little bit inside the folds. Okay, so that looks like it was just about enough dye. And I'm going to just use the rest of it and just push it all in there if I see a spot I think is light. Okay, now I'm going to flip that over. I tied this here so that I had a handle on it. Flip that over, rinse my brush, and start on the other side. So there was a fire in our area a couple days ago, and so this red and yellow is going to remind me of that fire. This pattern is the ripple pattern. So maybe it will look more like a fire than a ripple. See if I can clean up the rest of this tub here and get all of these little spots here. Okay, so I'm just going to let that dry now, and that might be an hour or so. I'll put it out in the sun. Okay, so here we are with the fabric that has been rinsed already. I rinsed it in cold water, and there's the one side and here's the other, and I'm going to start pulling this out here. I could just yank all these out. If I can find them all. And there you see it start to come. So there's one side and there's the other. Okay, one more. This one is the sandboxes, and I tied garbanzo beans in here, and I'm going to paint the back side of it with the black. So I'm just going to squirt this on, and then go back in and brush it. So again, we'll get that color separation. And I think that I forgot to mention in the earlier one that I used the gel, the same gel type thing, but I added a little bit of Procyon powder to it and worked it in. And I think that I'm going to try that here as well. I have these little bitty measuring spoons. And I'm not going to take a whole spoonful, but I'm going to sprinkle it on there. And then just move it around. And it's not going to go probably the whole way, so we may have some interesting effects there. Some black on black, and I imagine that they have different amounts of different colors in it, so there may be a different type of color separation there. Now, this again is the Dye-Lishus cotton, and the Dye-Lishus cotton accepts any kind of dye, so I don't have any qualms about mixing a Procyon MX fiber reactive dye with a food coloring type acid dye. So I'm going to let this one sit, and I'll be back later to show you what it looks like.